it seems to get worse and worse as we get into it.
Yeah.
But there's a silver lining here. You do graduate.
Right.
You go on and you graduate with your master's
Right.
degree. At some point, those 10 years roll by
Mm-hmm.
and you make it through probation.
Right.
Were you ever on the sex registry list?
Yes, I was on the sex offender registry for 20 years.
Are you off now?
Yes, I'm off.
I asked you this question because that sex registry list is
Mm-hmm.
easy to get on, but almost impossible to get off. And it
Mm-hmm.
is a stain that follows so many people who found themselves in your position. How did you eventually get off that list?
Well, I had started having some success in life after I graduated with my bachelor's, my master's degree, and then I have my PhD as well. So I'm Dr. Tiki Davis.
Beautiful.
So I started working in the oil and gas business. This company called Frac Tech Services gave me an opportunity to be an engineer. And so they started teaching me the oil and gas business. So I got in the position where I became one of the top oil and gas engineers in the Permian Basin, because Odessa is also known for oil and gas. So,
And I'm sorry to interject, but it's necessary.
Mhm.
What did you major in college, and what was your PhD in?
The PhD's in humanities, the
Okay.
master's is in business, and the bachelor's in communication. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So go ahead, because I heard you mention engineering and
Right. So I don't have an engineering degree, but they trained me. So I was working for this operator, well, this service company, and they sent me to all the engineering schools. But just like for a lot of young Black men, I consider myself thankful because I had the opportunity. A lot of guys don't get this opportunity, right? So they told me, if you make it, we're going to pay you $13 an hour with a master's degree at this time, just a master's. And if you can do the job, we'll give you $65,000 salary, company phone, company truck. And at 65,000 at that time, more money I ever seen, right?
Yep.
So anyway, long story short, I get into that business. I start excelling in it. I worked there for 3 years. Oil prices go down. I get laid off. So now I go back to my entrepreneur spirits. I start up a mobile car wash business called Touchdown Mobile Wash. So I'm driving around town, this guy with a master's degree, new family, daughter was 8 months old. I got laid off. So the perception is, oh, he can't get a job. You know, he's on that registry. You know, he did this, but they're not looking at me as a young entrepreneur business owner. Because I started making more money washing cars with my own mobile car wash business than I did as an engineer for that oil company. But as you know, I says, man, I want to get back into this oil because I'm kind of concerned what people are saying. I need insurance for my daughter. I got caught up in the titles, right?
Yep.
So what happens is another silver lining, the blessing in it. I get an opportunity to go work for the #1 independent oil man in the world, a gentleman named Clayton Williams Jr., wildcatter, billionaire guy. So one of his engineers bring me in, a Spanish guy named Armando Madrid, and he gives me a shot at the title. So it's just like I became champ overnight. It's just like Mike Tyson, you knocking out Mike Tyson like a Buster Douglas moment. I go in and I get an opportunity. So from working with him over the 7 years, it made me a multimillionaire. I ran a $1 billion oil company by myself, as far as the quality control of it. Everything that we pumped in the ground, fracking that you hear a lot of about that was causing earthquakes and stuff like that. I was the top guy in the all white man's world. I was the best to do what I did. So I turned that $65,000 into $1 million.
Okay, so yeah, I got to interject because
Okay.
I know you said it's a Buster Douglas moment.
Yeah.
Great analogy.
Uh-huh.
Did your experience from the old oil company
Uh-huh.
help you in this new
Oh
position
yeah.
you found yourself in, or did you have to relearn everything? Like,
No.
how do you get to work with one of the top oil men in the world, and not just
Okay.
work with them, but you're running the
Yeah.
company.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is what happens. So what I used to do, that they're service companies, right? And then like the Chevron, the Exxon, the T-Mobiles, those are operators, right?
Yep.
This guy that I was working for, he had Clayton Williams Energy. He was an operator. So the operator hires the service company to come in and complete and frack the wells and produce the oil, right? So he hired me to go in and be the quality control engineer to check the books, check the fluids, check the chemicals, everything that he was charging, the service company was charging him. So I didn't have to be retrained. He brought me in to double check them like an auditor, like a bookkeeper, like, are y'all doing it right? So I was saving him a couple $1 million every month by what they was charging him from. No, you can't charge him this. That's not right. You made a mistake here. And so they hated me. So I went to work for the enemy so you couldn't cheat them no more. And so I created that title. It never been done before. And I was the best to do it.
Now, is this something that it was an opportunity brought to you, meaning he was looking for a quality control person, or did you get in the company and say, hey, I see an opening. I see something where I can save you money?
Right. Well, it was brought to me. It was a guy named Armando. He was a minority engineer. So me and him running this company is very rare. We're the only two. So a Spanish and a young black kid. So you understand at this time I'm 28. So he brings me in, says we need this, but the billionaire guy don't even know I exist. So the billionaire guy don't bring me in. This guy bring me in. He says, but if you prove this worthy and you can show where you save the money, boy, this could be golden for you. All I needed was that opportunity. The door was cracked. I said, I'm gonna blow it wide open. So eventually I start saving this guy millions and millions of dollars. So he need to go find out who's the golden boy. So once I'm saving him the money, the billionaire owner comes, finds me. And normally he doesn't hire nothing but degreed engineers from Texas A&M. But I'm this young boy, black boy on the registry still at that time, off probation, but still on the registry. And I'm running this top guy in this whole area, Midland. He's the top guy. He's the #1 booster for Texas A&M. He has a building named after him. He has a statue. He's the top guy in the world, ran for governor, and I'm running his show. You know? And so he gave me the ability to live life on my own terms. So now the silver lining, now I'm rich. And now a lot of people not happy that I'm rich. So now I do like these rich ball players and all these other people, how much it's going to cost for me to get out of this trouble, right?
Yep.
So I go to my old attorney, this same guy that I've known for many, many years. I said, well, I've done everything y'all asked me to do. I didn't do the crime. I took the probation. I completed the probation. When I signed it, the state of Texas said it'll go away like it never happened. That's why I never made a big fuss if I was innocent or not. But now you guys got to pony up. And he says, it's nothing I can do. The law's changed and you screwed. Then I looked at him. I said, how much is it going to cost? Because I know some guys that been in a lot of trouble, a lot worse than I did, and it goes away like it never happened. And I had already did all the crime. I couldn't go to jail. I had already completed, didn't have a conviction. The charges was dropped, but it still looks guilty when you're on this registry, right? He says, nothing I can do. So it was an up and coming lawyer in town that takes all the big drug murder cases, and he was up and coming. And he drives this fancy Corvette. And one day, just fate would have it, I just see him outside smoking a cigar. And his license plate says, just win. And I went to him and I explained my story. And he says, if you are who you say you are, I can get this done. And I said, okay. And this is what makes my story different from Brian Banks, Central Park 4 or 5, Antoine Fisher, Blindside, Just Mercy. My story is different in the sense I didn't have nobody fighting for me. I didn't have no innocent projects. I didn't have to get cleared to have success. I did that in the midst of it. Yep. When I started really fighting for my name, I already had a few $1 million, you know? And so when I go into that old attorneys, he says, why do we have to do it? You're rich. That's what he told me. You got money now. It was almost like I did too good. And he was jealous and resented me. So I said, but my name means something to me. Like God told Abraham, I'll make your name great. That's what I wanted. That's what it wasn't about position. It wasn't about power. It wasn't about fame. It was about my name. So I went to this new attorney. He says, I can get it done. So 5 months go by. A year goes by. I hear nothing. I go back to him. And I say, hey, man, what's going on? He says, man, this is sensitive. This judge, he wants to do it, but he can't. He's a new judge on the bench. He wants to find some new evidence on the case. He can't find nothing. It's like it never existed. I said, okay, all right, be patient. But me knowing Tiki, I never waited on nobody. So I started getting all the law books. I started researching. I started doing all this different stuff. And then at this time, I got into this world of wanting to share my story. So I'm traveling with Les Brown. I'm working with E.T., all these guys, Nick Vujicic's. I'm in this world of speaking, sharing my story around the world. And so I called my mentor, Les Brown. I tell him what's happening. He says, Tiki, I want to come down and speak on your behalf as a character witness. I say, bet. So I go to my lawyer and I said, what about if Les comes down and speaks for me? He said, that'd be awesome. And I says, better yet, what if we found the girl? What if we found the girl and see if she would come forward and tell the truth? He said, that'd be awesome. I said, why don't you go find her? So I hired a team of investigators to find her. So it's probably about a few months later, I think they said, we found her, we're going to have lunch. And I'm sitting in my office that I'm sitting now, and I'm waiting on the attorneys to call me. The phone rings, and she says, it's me.
What's up, guys? Thanks for sticking with me to the end of the video. Truly appreciate you. If you like anything you heard here today, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you know anybody that can benefit from this message, feel free to share. Peace and love.